In the first fight, we have Brad Katona versus Bekzat Almakhan. Katona's 33 years old, 16-4, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 6 months ago. Katona lands 4.84 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.73, has a 25% finish rate, and is a plus 150 underdog. Bekzat is 27 years old, 11-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 1 year ago. Bekzat lands 0.2 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.53. He has a 77% finish rate and has a minus 180 favorite. Katona is 1-2 since winning the Ultimate Fighter. He really likes to use his grappling and control his opponents on the ground. He's not much of a finisher and is kind of a decision merchant. Bekzat, on the other hand, is a striker with legit power in his hands. He did drop Umar Nurmagomedov in his UFC debut. Bekzat will enjoy a 3-inch reach advantage and will be the better striker in my opinion. Katona does land 1.88 takedowns per 15 minutes. This fight will come down if Katona can get the fight to the ground or not. I think Bekzat will defend all the takedowns from Katona, keep the fight on the feet long enough to land something of consequence. Give me Bekzat to get it done. What's up, everybody? Crossover MMA back in here for another video. Now let's get back into UFC 315. In the next fight, we have JeongYeong Lee versus Daniel Santos. Lee is 29 years old, 11-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss 9 months ago. Lee lands 2.84 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.81. Santos is 30 years old, 11-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 2 years ago. Santos lands 4.26 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.12. Santos is making his return after a long layoff. Will there be some rust? Lee is looking to bounce back after getting brutally finished in his last fight against Hyder Emil. Santos uses a bit more output, but absorbs more strikes than he lands. Lee is a bit more measured and rarely throws first or leads the dance. He's much more of a counter striker. I think this will be a firefight. Santos will be looking to get into the pocket, and I think Lee will happily oblige him. This will be a sneaky fun fight on the early prelims. I like Santos's output and his willingness to initiate the action. I think he'll set the tone early in the fight, and Lee will just look to counter. Give me Daniel Santos in a dangerous firefight. In the next fight, we have Marc-Andre Barriault versus Bruno Silva. Marc-Andre is 35 years old, 16-9, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off a brutal KO loss 6 months ago. Barriault lands 5.98 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.58, has a 44% finish rate, and is a minus 155 favorite. Bruno Silva is 35 years old, 23-12, 1-4 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 6 months ago. Silva lands 3.85 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.08, he has a 57% finish rate, and is a plus 130 underdog. This is a contract eliminator fight for me. Both men are essentially fighting to stay in the UFC. Silva has 0 wins over anyone in the UFC. Barriault only has 1. So we might see some crazy action because both of them are fighting for their livelihood. Barriault is trying to bounce back after that brutal KO loss in his last fight. Where will his head be at following such a tough loss? Silva's on a 4-fight skid, got completely outclassed in his last fight. Both men get hit a lot. Silva has the better chin, in my opinion, as he's never been knocked out before, and he was in there with Alex Pereira. Silva has more power, but Barriault will definitely have a better cardio. Both men are plotters and will stand right in front of one another. I think Silva will be dangerous in the first round and a half. Afterwards, I think Barriault will start to pick up the pace and use his cardio as a weapon. This is literally a coin flip fight, but I'm going to go up Marc-Andre Barriault to get it done. In the next fight, we have Navajo Stirling versus Aiemann Erslan. Navajo Stirling is 27 years old, 6-0, coming off a decision win 4 months ago. Stirling lands 5.82 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.55, he has a 67% finish rate, and is a minus 290 favorite. Erslan is 33 years old, 14-4, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 7 months ago. Erslan lands 2.6 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3. He has a 61% finish rate and is a plus 235 underdog. This will be both men's second fight in the UFC. Stirling got a comfortable decision win, and Erslan really didn't show up and do much in his debut. Stirling's a long, rangy striker with legit power in his hands. Erslan has some power as well, but looked very gun-shy in his debut. That could have been the wrestling threat, making him tentative, but it's just one of those things we won't really know. This is a different type matchup against another striker, so he might feel a bit freer to let his hands go. I think Stirling will come out, use some leg kicks, some jabs, and just pick at Erslan from range. Stirling will enjoy a 6-inch reach advantage, and I just think he's really gonna fight into his strength. Stirling would be the faster fighter. Erslan would just have to take some risk in closing the distance and eat some shots on the way in. It's a tough ask, but it's what will be required for him to get the job done. He'll also need to pick up his output and his pace. Stirling does slow down a little bit in fights, later in fights, and could be a path to victory for Erslan. Ultimately, though, I'm going to go with Navajo Stirling. I just think the reach and the speed will be too much for Erslan. In the next fight, we have Modestas Bukauskas versus Aiemann Cutelaba. Bukauskas is 31 years old, 17-6, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 2 months ago. Bukauskas lands 3.32 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.11, has a 57% finish rate, and is a plus 100 underdog. Cutelaba's 31 years old, 19-10-1, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission win 2 months ago. Cutelaba lands 4.3 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.38, has a 53% finish rate, and is a minus 120 favorite. Both men are on a 2-fight skid. Cutelaba has made some major improvements to his game. He's not as reckless and careless as he was and just mixing it up in the pocket earlier in his career. Cutelaba now uses his wrestling, mixes in some feints, and it serves him very well now. Bukauskas is a friend of the show, so big respect to Modestas. Bukauskas is a long, big, powerful striker with power in both hands. I think in this matchup, Cutelaba will come out very aggressive, fighting on the front foot, trying to back Bukauskas up against the fence and shoot takedowns. Bukauskas will need to get some respect early in the fight and not allow himself to get backed up against Cutelaba. Because once up against the cage, Cutelaba will look to just grind on Bukauskas and get the fight to the ground. If he does get the fight to the ground, Bukauskas can accept the position and he'll need to scramble back to his feet or else Cutelaba will just bank the round. If Bukauskas keeps this fight on the feet and at range, I think he can have a lot of success using leg kicks, feints, jabs, and 1-2s. Whoever sets the tone early in this fight wins this fight, in my opinion. Bukauskas has 71% takedown defense, and it will get put to the test, and it will be vital in determining the outcome of this fight. Ultimately, I'm going to take the underdog and go with Modestas Bukauskas. In the next fight, we have Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Andrade is 33 years old, 26-13, 2-3 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 7 months ago. Andrade lands 6.44 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.51. She has a 46% finish rate and is a plus 230 underdog. Jasudavicius is 36 years old, 13-3, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 3 months ago. Jasudavicius lands 3.71 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.67. She has a 31% finish rate and is a minus 280 favorite. We get another step up in competition for Jasmine Jasudavicius, going up against the former strawweight champion in Jessica Andrade. Andrade has been up and down in her last 10 fights. She's been in there with the who's who in women's MMA. I think she's starting to learn she can't be as reckless as she used to be. Andrade always has to deal with being a bit undersized at flyweight. Jasudavicius will enjoy a 6-inch reach advantage. Jessica Andrade is just a powerful little fighter. She has legit power in both hands and very strong in that small frame. Jasudavicius is a dog. She isn't afraid to take some damage and just keep walking forward. That recipe could get her into trouble with Andrade. Vicious turns it up once the fight hits the ground, though. She doesn't really look for subs. She's more so focused on controlling her opponents, mixing in some ground and pound, and racking up control time. It seems like they're on opposing trajectories. Andrade just fought the tougher competition. For me, I think Jasudavicius is ready for this step up in competition. I think Jasudavicius will get it done with her straight shots and long range weapons. Andrade will be looking to land big hooks and will eat some shots along the way. Give me Jasmine Jasudavicius. In the next fight, we have Mike Malott versus Charles Radtke. Malott is 33 years old, 11-2-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 6 months ago. Malott lands 3.85 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.06, He has a 71% finish rate and is a -225 favorite. Radtke's 34 years old, 10-4, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 5 months ago. Radtke lands 3.38 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.03, has a 50% finish rate, and is a +180 underdog. Both men are in a similar spot right here. Mike Malott is looking to regain some momentum after the Neil Magny fight. He was looking like a hot new prospect going into that fight, and then he gassed out and got finished in the 3rd round. Charles Radtke is also looking to regain some momentum after his Carlos Prates fight. I think in this fight will be a bit more measured for both guys. Malott looked a little tentative in his last fight against Trevin Giles. I think he learned that he needs to manage his gas tank a bit more efficiently after the Neil Magny fight. Malott's a good grappler with 6 submission wins on his resume. Radtke looks to get it done more so with the hands. For me, I think we could get a slower paced fight unless someone gets hurt early. I'm curious to see how Malott handles some adversity again and what can happen here. This will be a close one. I've gone back and forth on it, but I'm going to go with Mike Malott in a fight closer than the experts think. In the next fight, we have Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. Grasso's 31 years old, 16-4-1, 3-1-1 in their last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 7 months ago. Grasso lands 4.19 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.69. She has a 29% finish rate and is a +170 underdog. Silva's 28 years old, 18-5-1, 5-0 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 7 months ago. Silva lands 5.19 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.35. She has a 50% finish rate and is a -205 favorite. Alexa Grasso is looking to bounce back after losing her title in the trilogy with Valentina Shevchenko. Natalia Silva has been on a tear. She's on a 12-fight win streak with 8 finishes. Grasso does her best work in the pocket and boxing range. It's her best attribute. Silva's a game opponent. She has skills everywhere the fight goes. I think on the ground, Silva has slightly better BJJ. Neither woman has solid wrestling, so if the fight goes to the ground, it'll be by a trip, catching a kick, or something along those lines. Grasso has definitely been in there with the better competition and has that big fight experience. Silva is still learning, but has looked really good in her development to this point. I like Silva's output at over 5 per minute. She has solid power with 5 TKO wins and is also a dangerous grappler with 7 submission wins. This is a tough bounce back fight for Grasso. It's very tough for a former champion to ever get their belt back again, as we all know. This is a tough one, but I'm going to go with the underdog in Alexa Grasso right here. In the next fight, we have Jose Aldo versus Aiemann Zahabi. Aldo's 38 years old, 32-9, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 6 months ago. Aldo lands 3.62 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.72, has a 44% finish rate, and is a -225 favorite. Zahabi's 37 years old, 12-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 6 months ago. Zahabi lands 4.06 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.06 as well. He has a 57% finish rate and is a +185 underdog. The immortal Jose Aldo makes his return to the octagon, one of the greatest featherweights and one of the greatest fighters ever. He'll enjoy a 1-inch reach advantage. As we all know, Aldo has some of the best kicks in the game. He's very measured and calculated as a striker. However, the game plan to defeat him is out there, and Mario Batista showed it and put it on display for all the world to see. That if you just put him up against the cage, he'll allow you just to hold him there. Aiemann Zahabi is a striker with solid output. He's not a big power puncher and typically uses his volume. I think it's an interesting matchup to see if Zahabi tries to hold Aldo up against the fence like Batista did, or will this play out at range on the feed like Jose Aldo, Jonathan Martinez did? I think this will be a striker's delight as neither guy looks to get the fight to the ground. Aldo is 38 years old, but I'm not worried about that as usual because Zahabi is 37 years old. Aldo, of course, has been in there with the higher level competition, so his experience will be key in this fight. Will this be the end of Jose Aldo? Will Zahabi use Aldo as a stepping stone into the top 10? This is a close fight, but give me the ageless one. Jose Aldo. In the co-main event, we have Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot for the flyweight title. Shevchenko's 37 years old, 24-4-1, 3-1-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 7 months ago. Shevchenko lands 3.16 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2, She has a 52% finish rate and is a -155 favorite. Fiorot is 35 years old, 12-1, 5-0 in their last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 1 year ago. Fiorot lands 6.26 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.19. She has a 46% finish rate and is a +130 underdog. Here we go with the women's flyweight title fight. Two-time champ versus #1 contender. We all know Valentina is getting a little long in the tooth, but surprisingly, Manon is only 2 years younger. Valentina will enjoy a 2-inch reach advantage, which surprised me when I saw it. Manon will enjoy a 2-inch height advantage. Valentina has always been known for her striking, but as she's gotten a little older, she's relied more on her wrestling to get wins. 2020 was kind of the year when she started using more of her grappling. Valentina lands 2.74 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 71% takedown defense. Manon lands 1.7 takedowns per 15 minutes and has 61% takedown defense. Valentina operates out of southpaw stance. Meanwhile, Manon uses orthodox and southpaw. Manon's a very talented striker and has good size for the weight class. I'm curious to see if this would be a kickboxing fight or will Valentina use her wrestling as much as she's been doing the last few years. Manon has much higher output, almost doubling the output of Valentina, but I do think Valentina does a really good job of controlling the range and looks to counter beautifully. I think Manon will be a bit more measured in this title fight as she's only been 5 rounds once in her career. All the experience from Valentina I think will serve her very well in this fight. I'm curious to see how Valentina's speed looks in this fight. She started to slow down just a touch. Manon isn't super fast, so it should be a very competitive fight. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the bullet in Valentina Shevchenko. I just think the big fight experience will get it done. I think Valentina will use good timing on her takedown attempts, and once on the ground, I think she'll do a good job of controlling Manon Fiorot. Manon's boxing isn't as crisp as Alexa Grasso's, and that's the only woman at flyweight to really give Shevchenko issues on the feet. In the main event, we have Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena. Belal Muhammad is 36 years old, 24-3, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, come off a decision win 9 months ago. Muhammad lands 4.39 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.48. He has a 22% finish rate and is a -260 favorite. JDM is 28 years old, 17-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 1 year ago. JDM lands 6.74 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.27. He has a 90% finish rate and is a +205 underdog. This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup. Belal just uses his pace, pressure grappling just to wear guys down and grind them out. JDM is primarily a boxer with really good combinations and legit power in both hands. Belal's Achilles heel is his striking and lack thereof power finishing ability. JDM's Achilles heel is his overall grappling and takedown defense at only 70%. I think this is a great matchup of opposing styles. Both men have a very clear path to victory. Belal's game plan is going to be walking forward, getting in your face, and just wear you down. How does this play out with JDM being a dangerous boxer that always fights on the front foot? What if JDM catches Belal and defends the takedown? What if Belal gets the takedown 1 minute into the fight and just starts grinding on JDM? Something else, how does JDM look coming back from all the injuries? We've seen JDM have issue with the wrestling in the past, in the Bezel Hafez fight and the Gilbert Burns fight before he landed the knee to get the finish. In my opinion, Belal hasn't fought anyone with better boxing or power in their hands as JDM. This would be a different type of problem to solve. I know JDM has been working on his grappling, but he still had issues getting controlled inside the octagon. Will JDM's boxing get nullified from the pressure and the takedown threat from Belal? My 2 questions in this fight that will ultimately determine the fight: does JDM's takedown defense and ability to get back to his feet hold up? And if Belal can get JDM down, does he just hold on to JDM for dear life in the clinch? Ultimately, I think JDM's takedown defense will let him down and Belal will just start to grind on JDM. I would love to see JDM win it, but I think Belal Muhammad gets it done. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Questions, comments, thoughts, and your feedback are always welcome. And as always, until next time.